Imagine waking up one morning and your whole city is gone. Not damaged, not burned a little, gone, turned to ash and smoke before lunchtime. That is exactly what happened to two cities that once sat in a beautiful green valley. They had everything money could buy, big houses, full markets, good food every single day. But behind all that shine, something rotten was growing, and one morning, heaven had finally seen enough. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and by the end of it, you'll understand why this story is still being told thousands of years later. Long, long ago, in the land of Canaan, there was a valley by the Jordan River so green and so rich that people said it looked like heaven's own garden. Two cities sat proudly inside it, Sodom and Gomorrah. The soil was fertile, the trade was good, families grew wealthy without even trying too hard. Travelers who passed through would talk about it for weeks after. "You would not believe the riches in that valley," they'd say. But here's the thing, little one. A full stomach does not always mean a good heart. Slowly, quietly, the people of these cities forgot the one who gave them all that goodness in the first place. They stopped caring for the poor. They stopped being kind to strangers. Pride crept in like a slow poison, and cruelty became normal, so normal that nobody even blushed about it anymore. Think about it like this. Imagine a classroom where, at first, only one or two kids are unkind to others, but slowly, more and more kids join in until being mean becomes the cool thing to do, and being kind makes you look weak or strange. That's a little bit of what happened in Sodom, except on the scale of an entire city for years and years, until nobody even remembered what goodness used to look like. People walked past those in need without a second glance. Visitors who came looking for shelter were treated with suspicion or worse. Money bought comfort, but comfort bought silence. Nobody wanted to speak up about what was happening because speaking up might cost them their easy life. The prophet Ezekiel later described it this way: "The people had grown proud, comfortable, and full, yet they never lifted a hand to help anyone in need. They did ugly, hurtful things and called it normal. And heaven was watching, quietly, patiently, but not forever." Meanwhile, far from the noise of Sodom and Gomorrah, an old man named Abraham sat resting near his tent under the shade of some big oak trees. It was the middle of a hot afternoon, the kind of heat that makes everyone want a nap. Suddenly, he looked up and saw three travelers standing nearby. Now, Abraham didn't know it yet, but these weren't ordinary visitors. One of them was the Lord himself, appearing in human form, and the other two were angels sent from heaven. Something in Abraham's spirit just knew these guests were special. So he jumped up, yes, jumped, even at his age, and ran to greet them. He bowed low and said, "Please don't pass by your servant. Rest here, let me wash your feet, and let me bring you food." He rushed to prepare the best meal he could: fresh bread, warm milk, tender meat, the full VIP treatment. And while they ate, he stood nearby, honored just to serve them. Then something happened that Abraham never expected. The Lord turned to him and said, "The cries against Sodom and Gomorrah are loud, and their sin is very heavy. I am going down to see for myself whether it is truly as bad as it sounds." And Abraham's heart sank, because somewhere in that doomed city lived his own nephew Lot. Now here comes one of the bravest moments in the whole Bible. Abraham, a regular man, stepped toward God Almighty and asked him a question that takes real courage. "Lord," Abraham said, his voice shaking a little, "will you really destroy the good people along with the bad ones? What if there are 50 good people in that city? Would you still wipe it all out?" And God answered gently, "If I find 50 good people there, I will spare the whole city for their sake." But Abraham wasn't done. He kept going. What if there are only 45, 40, 30, 20? Every single time, God patiently answered, "For their sake, I will not destroy it." Finally, Abraham, almost too afraid to ask again, whispered, "Lord, please don't be angry. What if there are only 10? And God said, "For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it." 10, that's all it would have taken to save the whole city, just 10 good people. Abraham didn't dare ask for less. He went back to his tent that evening with a heavy heart, hoping, praying that Sodom had at least 10 good souls left in it.
Hey, friend, if this story is speaking to your heart, please hit the like and subscribe button. It only takes a second.
As the sun began to dip low, 2 angels, looking just like regular travelers, walked toward the gates of Sodom. Sitting right there at the entrance was Lot, Abraham's nephew. Years earlier, Lot had chosen to live in Sodom because of its wealth and its easy living. Maybe he thought he could enjoy the good parts without being touched by the bad. When Lot saw the 2 strangers, he stood up quickly and bowed to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please come stay at my house tonight. Wash up, rest, and continue your journey in the morning." "No," they replied, "we'll just sleep in the town square." But Lot insisted. He begged them, almost desperately, because Lot knew something the strangers didn't. He knew what the streets of Sodom became once night fell. It was not a safe place for anyone, especially not for outsiders. Eventually, the 2 agreed and followed him home, where Lot prepared a warm meal for them. But before they could even lie down to sleep, a terrible noise erupted outside. Every man in the city, young and old, from every corner of Sodom, surrounded Lot's house. They pounded on the door and shouted horrible things, demanding that Lot bring his guests outside so they could hurt them. This wasn't hospitality gone wrong. This was pure evil standing right at the doorstep. Lot stepped outside and shut the door tightly behind him. "Please, my friends," he begged, "don't do this wicked thing." And then, in a moment that has confused and troubled people for generations, Lot made a truly terrible offer, offering his own daughters instead, just to protect his guests. It was a desperate, twisted choice, and it shows just how much the darkness of that city had rubbed off on him, even though he tried to do the right thing in the wrong way. But the mob only grew angrier. They shouted that Lot, a foreigner himself, had no right to judge them, and they lunged forward to break down the door. That's when the 2 angels showed their true power. In an instant, they struck the entire mob with sudden blindness, complete darkness right in the middle of their own city. The men stumbled around, groping at walls, completely lost, completely confused. For a moment, everything went eerily quiet. The shouting stopped. The pounding on the door stopped. All that was left was confused mumbling and stumbling feet, as grown men who had terrorized the city just seconds earlier now groped blindly at walls like lost children. It's almost hard to imagine the loudest, most powerful people in the city suddenly completely helpless. That's what happens when heaven decides enough is enough. The angels turned to Lot with urgency in their voices. "Do you have anyone else here? Sons, daughters, anyone at all? Get them out now. We are about to destroy this entire place. The cries against it have reached heaven, and it is time." Lot ran to warn his daughter's fiancés. "Hurry, get up. The Lord is about to destroy this city." But they laughed at him. To them, it sounded like some ridiculous joke. Nobody believed judgment could actually be real. As morning light began to creep over the horizon, the angels urged Lot again. "Hurry! Take your wife, take your daughters, and get out, or you'll be swept away with everyone else." But Lot hesitated. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was the comfort of a life he'd built. Maybe some small part of him still loved that city. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly why. It just tells us that he lingered. So, in an act of pure mercy, the angels grabbed Lot's hand, his wife's hand, and his daughter's hands, and physically pulled them out of the city. God wasn't saving them because they were perfect. He was saving them because he remembered Abraham's plea. Once they were safely outside the walls, one angel gave them a final, urgent warning. Run for your lives. Do not look back. Do not stop anywhere in the valley. Head for the mountains, or you will be destroyed with the rest. Lot begged for one small mercy, to flee instead to a tiny nearby town called Zoar, rather than all the way to the mountains. The angel agreed and hurried him along. Go quickly. I cannot act until you get there. Just as the sun rose fully over the land, Lot and his family were running toward Zoar as fast as their legs could carry them. And then it happened. The Lord rained down fire and burning sulfur from the sky, not just onto Sodom, but onto Gomorrah too. The sky turned a deep, terrifying red. The ground shook. Buildings that had stood for generations crumbled into dust within moments. Fields, homes, gardens, the entire valley that once looked like a paradise was wiped away in what felt like the blink of an eye. But in the middle of all that running, all that fire, all that chaos, Lot's wife made one small, fatal choice. She looked back. Maybe it was worry for the life she was leaving. Maybe it was longing for the home, the friends, the comfort she once had there. But the moment she turned to look, something changed in her. Her skin turned pale, almost frosted looking. Her body stiffened. Her feet became rooted to the spot. And in an instant, she became a pillar of salt, frozen forever, facing the city she couldn't let go of. Mercy had reached out and pulled her from the fire, but looking back cost her everything. Lot's story didn't end quite there, though. Too afraid to stay even in the small town of Zoar, he fled with his 2 daughters into the mountains, hiding away in a cave, completely isolated from everyone they knew. What followed next was a sad and painful chapter. A story shaped entirely by the trauma and moral confusion the family had absorbed from years of living inside Sodom. It's a heavy part of the story, and honestly, it's one that reminds us how deeply the darkness of a place can follow people even after they've escaped it. From that dark moment came 2 nations, the Moabites and the Ammonites, who would, generations later, stand in conflict with the very people of God. So here's the big question every kid, and honestly every adult, should ask. What actually went wrong in Sodom and Gomorrah? It wasn't just that they were rich. Being wealthy isn't a sin. It was what their wealth turned them into. They became proud. They stopped caring about people who had less than them. They stopped welcoming strangers. They called cruelty normal and kindness weak. Slowly, without even noticing it, an entire city convinced itself that wrong was right. And here's the beautiful part hidden inside this hard story. Judgment never came suddenly. God waited. God warned. God watched for any sign of goodness. He even bargained gently with Abraham, looking for just 10 righteous people to save the whole place. Fire didn't fall until mercy had truly run its course. Now here's something worth sitting with quietly for a second. When we look around our own world today, cities full of wealth, comfort, and endless entertainment, we sometimes see the very same patterns creeping back in. Pride dressed up as confidence, selfishness dressed up as freedom, cruelty disguised as just being honest. It's easy to get swept along without even realizing it. But here's the hope in all of this. The same God who watched Sodom is the same God who still listens today. He still shows mercy. He still reaches out his hand to pull people out of the fire if they're willing to take it. He's not sitting up in heaven waiting for a reason to punish us. He's patient. He's slow to anger. He's the kind of God who bargains all the way down to 10 people, just looking for a reason to show mercy instead of judgment. That has not changed, not even a little bit. Following what's right won't always feel popular. Sometimes it might even feel a little lonely or old-fashioned, especially when everyone around you seems to be running the other way. But remember, the crowd in Sodom followed each other straight into disaster. Standing apart from the crowd, choosing kindness, choosing humility, choosing to actually care about people. That is the narrow road, and it's the road that leads somewhere good. So today, let's be the kind of people who don't just follow the noise, the kind of people heaven would count among the 10. Before you go, if this story touched you even a little bit, tap that like button right now. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you're here for the next one. Because next time, we're diving into an even more incredible story, the tale of Noah and the Great Flood, a story of a world gone wrong, one faithful family, and a boat that would carry all of humanity's hope. You will not want to miss it. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next story.